Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Pain to Passion Live. I seriously am like jumping out of my skin. I'm so happy because of this beautiful soul that I get to chat with today. I have just been so blessed with the people that I've been able to interact with. And I discovered Tasha Hunter on Instagram a while ago. It's been a couple years at least, and she puts out some of the most amazing, wise, vulnerable, authentic content. You all need to go follow her. Make sure you check out the show notes. Go follow her on Instagram. But I've appreciated her voice so much. And so I'm very, very honored and thrilled that she agreed to come on the podcast. So thank you, Tasha, for being here today.
It is my absolute honor to be with you and your listeners. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I love to just allow my guests to introduce themselves and tell us what you really would like us to know about who Tasha is and what she's about.
Ooh, what is Tasha? Who is Tasha? I guess it's always easier to start with the professional stuff, but I'm a licensed clinical social worker, therapist, supervisor, consultant, writer, speaker, fierce child abuse advocate, an advocate for people who have ever thought that, maybe they wanted to end their lives.
Mm.
Um, I am an advocate for psychedelic assisted medicine or sacred earth medicine. I'm an intellectual, a lover, a thinker, um, a dreamer.
Mm.
And even that word dream, it makes me think that I don't know who my ancestors were, but I've gotta, just something in my spirit just really connects with the fact that I believe that I am their greatest, like more than they could ever even dream for themselves. Like I
Oh my
am
goodness.
the living embodiment of their dreams.
Mm.
And I often feel their energy like carrying me, speaking through me. So
I
that's who
just
I
got chills like all
am.
over. That was amazing. I absolutely resonate with that. I think that is true for
Thank you.
sure. Yeah. Well, my curiosity starts right now with how you got into being a therapist and a social worker. What drew you into that space?
Um, so at a certain point in my 30s, I started going to therapy. Actually, let me back up. I was working for the military and I was very unfulfilled in the job. I was working as a patient safety director. So my job consisted of working with the medical group and addressing medical errors, harm, misdiagnosis, wrong site surgeries, and all the things that can happen, as well as suicides and attempted suicides. And
Mhm.
so, but it was work that was behind the desk instead of work with the people who were impacted.
Yeah.
And so along with that, I I had my own office and people, all I had a lot of friends, a lot of coworkers, and we would all like get together. My office was like the social area. And people would often say, Tasha, like, you're you're my therapist. And they would come and talk. And I had coworkers who would make a routine out of just coming every day to visit me and talk about their stuff.
Wow.
And there was this one moment, this person that I was really close with at the time, she'd come in my office and she spent 8 hours in my office, meaning she did not leave.
Wow.
She was going through some difficulties and she didn't leave. And around the same time, I was feeling the need to go to therapy. I'd never been to therapy before. So,
Wow.
so I started going to therapy and I said to my therapist, I understood that in that moment that one, I didn't feel empowered to tell the person, girl, you got to go to work, like get out of my office. there was something that was keeping me from even like, I didn't even know what boundaries were. Well, like, what is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah.
And I was a woman desperately searching for love and fearing rejection, fearing abandonment, and just really had difficulty in telling people or asking people for what I needed.
Mhm.
And my therapist said, "Girl, you do my job, but you do it for free." She said, "You need to get you some boundaries."
Mm.
But that conversation morphed into, have you thought about being a therapist? Because you're a
Wow.
great listener. You're great at holding space for people. Have you thought about it? And I said, a lot of people tell me that I'm really good.
Mhm.
I mean, my family, the people that like knew me, um, the most would say, you need to go back to school and be a therapist. Like, I heard that all the
Wow.
time. So what this therapist said was just really confirming that. And then I decided, well, what better way to do something that I'm naturally great at? I believe it's my gift. Um, and also my honor,
Mm.
sit with other people in their pain.
Yeah.
Not many people can do that and do it well.
So true.
And Gabby, I wanted to understand me. Why am I like this? Like, I knew about my trauma, but why do I do the things that I do? And there was this point, I really want to shout out this therapist, but I won't say their name because I don't want anybody looking them up. But she said, I want you to write down, just get some paper. She had this legal pad. She
Mhm.
said, I want you to get some paper and write down every person that you have a relationship with, every person that you call a friend. And she said, and as you write it down, and I had a long list because I know a lot of people, I love a lot of people,
Mhm.
and I make friends pretty easily. So this was a very long list. Um, and she said, what would happen if you tell that person no?
Wow.
Or each person, what would happen if you just said no? And I said they would leave, they would quit talking to me. And she said, if they're only in your life to dump on you, to dump all of their issues, then they're not a friend.
Wow.
And so, anyhow, that was my path into therapy, and also my path to healing my own wounds, my fears of what if people leave?
Yeah.
What if they quit talking to me? What if I can't show up for them? What if I can't give them the things that I've always given them? That was my path.
So powerful. And I told you before we got on that I've been reading your book. So hearing like this side of the story is so fascinating to me. So for those of you who are watching the video, here is Tasha's book, What Children Remember. It's stunning. She has such a gift with words, but it's one of the most vulnerable pieces of work that you will ever read. But as you're talking here, I'm like picturing the miniature version of you and how she must have been showing up like in those friendships and as you go to school to become a therapist and all of that. You said you knew about your trauma, but you're trying to figure out why you do the things that you do.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear like what you discovered about why you did the things that you did and how that related to your story.
Yeah. So going back, I'm in therapy, and this therapist was just he's such a beautiful human. So
Mhm.
beautiful. And I said, I can fight for other people. I can speak up for other people. But when it comes to me, it's like the words get stuck right here. At this time, again, I'm in my 30s. I'm not yet a therapist. And I said, I just have such difficulty fighting for myself.
Mm.
And person after person after person, it felt like a revolving door. If a neighbor was in a domestic violence dispute, I'm the person that's going over and helping and saying, come, pack a bag, come stay with me. You'll be safe, you'll be okay. If a person needed help paying their bills, they needed some money. I've given away a free vehicle before, didn't charge any, just, hey, I got a vehicle that is paid off. You take it, you need it more than I do.
Wow.
Kept countless kids for people, babysitting,
Mm-hmm.
never charged, never was offered anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just gave everything until I didn't even have anything for myself. And like I said, I was the woman that everybody would come and talk to me. And I mean, I'm pretty fun anyways, but
I believe it.
everybody wanted a little bit of Tasha, you know?
Yeah.
And for little girl Tasha that just needed love, that, you know, that just wanted to be seen, heard, and understood, that to me felt like love. Oh, you want me? You want me to help? You want you want to talk to me?
Yeah.
But through the process, when I asking the question, like, what is wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
My therapist at the time, she said, there's nothing wrong with you. The reason why you do the things you do, the reason why you feel the way you feel, it's trauma.
Yeah.
It's all trauma. There's nothing wrong with you. The reason why you show up in relationships the way you do, because in each relationship I was giving so much but then I also wasn't getting anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't trust other people to even like be there for me. So I kept a lot of things inside. I'm like, well, they've got enough to deal with. They don't want to hear from me. Or, well, they got enough to deal with. How are they going to help me with my stuff?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what they're doing with their own. They're like, how are they going to help me? So, but she said to me, she said, everything that you go through, everything that you do, you're doing the things and viewing the people and viewing the experiences from a lens of trauma. And she said, it's like you've got these trauma colored glasses on.
Mm.
Everything is filtered through that. Do you love me? Are you going to leave me? Are you going to be there for me? Am I going to disappoint you? Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? It was like this constant loop.
Yeah.
But it was the first time that anybody had ever said to me, it's trauma.
Mm.
Being in the military, being a veteran, being a military spouse, a military contractor, I've had every role in the military, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
and so working in that environment, wait, ADHD, I just forgot where I was going with that. Hold on a minute, Gabby.
I've got it too, so I get it.
There was some reason for me to name that. But okay, so I got it. So being in this military environment, well, I heard about trauma all the time in PTSD, every military member,
Right.
PTSD.
Yeah.
But outside of that, my work, I never thought that I too had PTSD.
Right.
Just her naming that changed my life.
Wow.
Like the power of someone who doesn't know you, the power in them listening to you, sitting with your pain,
Mm-hmm.
saying, it's not you, it's the trauma.
Mm.
There's nothing inherently wrong with you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the trauma. Okay. All right, we can deal with that. And then through therapy, and I don't remember if it was that therapist or my current therapist. I've only had two, and they're both amazing. But one of them at some point said, before, when you went through the painful experiences, you were alone. You didn't have anybody to protect you. You didn't have anybody that you could trust. You didn't have a safe space. Now I'm your safe space. And you don't have to go through anything else alone.
Oh my gosh.
I'm right here with you. I'm going to sit right here with you, no matter what you're feeling, no matter what's happening. You don't have to do it alone. You've got support now. What a beautiful way to just really change somebody's life.
Yeah.
Like this offering that you're going to be with me in my pain. You can hold my pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew then, I just knew that is what I want to do for other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I want my time and I want my work to be respected.
Totally.
But that is how I want to show up for other people.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was like on the verge of tears for most of that,
Oh,
because I think really so many of us can feel into this experience. All of us have different stories, but just that feeling of like, if I don't give and give and give, am I worth anything? Does anybody like me? If I stop doing this, do I have any value? Not really understanding inherently, like, you are good, you are lovable just because you're you. Like, it takes us, so many of us, so long to even start to figure that out. And as you're talking again, because I'm reading your book, the story of when you tried to get help, like you ran across the
yeah.
street or something, knocked on a military man's door and said, listen, I'm getting beat up at home, like, help
Yes.
me,
Help.
please help. You tried to use your voice. So when you said, you're like, your words just kept getting stuck right here in your neck, in your throat, it makes so much sense, because you
Yeah.
tried to use your voice, then he's like, no. And it gets worse. He comes and knocks on the door and tells your abuser what you said, and just makes everything worse. Of course you're going to be afraid to speak up. Like, it's
Oh, yeah.
amazing to me that that little girl is this woman who's sitting here today. It's phenomenal, and just shows the power of your spirit too. You have such a powerful spirit, and you've made choices to become this incredible helper that
Yeah.
you are. But how long did it take for you to really believe that people were going to be able to hold space for you and show up for you like that?
Oh, Gabby, that question gives me chills, actually. Because the question is asking me to tell the truth. And the truth is that is still parts of me that don't trust that people will be there. That's still a part of me.
Yeah.
It's still something that I wonder in my relationships. Like, who can hold the complexity of who I am? Who can hold that I'm not always strong, that I don't always have the answers? Who can hold that sometimes I'm really quiet, really introspective? I can go inside myself, and I need silence and quiet time, and who is going to be offended by that or hurt because I didn't reach out, or they've not talked to me in a few days, or I still wonder, I still have those questions with each new person in my life. Like, are they going to be here for me? And I just want to say that, like, even like you feeling emotional, I'm so comfortable with tears, and I might even get teary-eyed here. So I welcome and I'm very comfortable with all the tears.
Mm-hmm.
It's again so healing and loving for my little girl Tasha. Like somebody is crying for me, somebody feels for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even what you said about like going to the neighbor in the moments when I tried to speak up, oftentimes we're not aware of when or how our voices were taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
So my work as a therapist is really connecting my clients to when were the moments of, that your voice was stripped from you.
Yeah.
We don't always know that, right? And so we have to kind of go back in time and see, what was it like? How were you treated when you tried to tell the truth?
Mm-hmm.
How were you treated when you tried to express real, genuine emotion? How were you treated when you maybe set a boundary or told someone no? Were you punished?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the majority of my childhood, 11 years of my childhood, I was punished a lot.
Yeah.
I was beaten a lot. I was berated a lot. And when I did tell people what was happening, again, I was punished or I was ignored or people would make excuses for the abuser. 11 years of that, 20 years of that, on and on. What it taught me is that my truth is not safe.
Mm-hmm.
That nobody really wants to know how I'm doing. Nobody really wants to know the truth of me.
Mm-hmm.
And years of that, again, going back to childhood, I learned to silence myself. And it wasn't until in my 30s, it was literally therapy that changed my life.
Yeah.
I was always very afraid of being disrespectful, afraid of people's reactions. A young Black queer woman, not really certain about my queerness, just kind of questioning.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I identified as a Christian for a very long time. So I had lots of reasons to fear being myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so little bit by little bit, through therapy, peeling back the layers of what's true for me, what's real for me, and who and what is true in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Years of grief that I didn't know that I would survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure that I could make it on the other side. And every day that I wake up, every day that I am here and I get to meet beautiful humans like yourself, it's like, so glad I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I went through all of those years of really intense PTSD, panic attacks, the nightmares, all of the gastrointestinal issues, um, all of the things, all of the depression, the loneliness, to make it here.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is a gift.
Mm-hmm. So powerful. Like that's what this show is all about. You're such an embodiment of that message because what you went through was never okay. And I wish that we could just start it over and make it all not happen. And you
Me
could
too.
have a beautiful life. And
Yes.
yet you're here saying every day now is a gift. And a part of that is you've had all of these horrible experiences you've learned to have compassion for yourself and value yourself, probably at even a deeper level than if you hadn't gone through stuff, because you had to be so intentional about it. And you know how people actually feel. Like
Mhm.
you remember, you know how it feels to go through XYZ,
Yeah.
and you can sit with them in that. And that's beautiful. And again, I'm thinking about your book because it's just like the stories are so vibrant, you kind of just like
Mhm.
fall into them. But how you were punished even for things that were like just being a kid.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that story of when you opened the fridge to get milk, and
Mhm.
it was a new bottle of milk, you opened it up, you smelled it, and it smelled really bad.
Mhm.
And I was picturing my daughter, I have a 7-year-old.
Mhm.
If my daughter went to the fridge and grabbed the milk and smelled it, I was like, oh mom, this smells really bad. I would probably just giggle, be like, oh honey, it's because it's goat milk, you know. But your parent did not respond that way at all. So for you to even be allowed to just speak truth of like, the situation is that this milk smells bad. That's a literal situation. It's
It's a yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Gabby. I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
you go right ahead.
Yeah, not being able to say the milk smells bad, not being able to say I'm hungry,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not hungry, or I'm full, I've had enough to eat,
Yeah.
or not being able to ask, may I go outside and play? May I have a friend over?
Mm.
Mommy, can we go to the movies? Mommy, can we watch cartoons together?
Mm.
Um, can I have a hug? I've never in my life been told I love you by my parents.
Mm.
Never. I will die not knowing like what that really feels like from a real place. Like, um, and I think about my daughter and I think about my granddaughters, and I just can't even imagine
Yeah.
like perpetuating that violence, that harm,
Yeah.
right? Showing up in their lives in that way. Um, Shout out to my daughter Kaya, who gives the best hugs ever.
Oh, I love that.
And it's like every time she hugs me or I hug her, uh, it's like it's healing little Tasha's trauma, all the things I didn't get during those years, all of the I love yous that I didn't get. Gabby, I have so much love in my life now. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not told that. Every day somebody tells me that they love me. And
Hmm.
that's no exaggeration. Every single day.
Yeah.
And so all of these things happen. And so for like when I think about what I experienced, and thank you for reading my book because it reminds me of, girl, I survived a lot.
Yeah, you did.
And so like so when I think about that time, of course I had difficulty um naming my pain. Of course I was afraid. I remember hearing Elizabeth Gilbert. I didn't hear her. I read something that she wrote. And
Mhm.
Elizabeth wrote, I don't know if it was an essay or what it was, but I remember reading where she said that she was a kid who was afraid of everything.
Mm, yeah.
And I said, whoa, that's exactly how I felt. I went from a kid that was afraid of everyone and everything to an adult that was afraid of everyone and everything. How could I not be?
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now I'm soon to be, I forget sometimes how old I am. I'm 40, so I'm 44 years old. And I would say for the last, certainly for the last 10 years, I've really found my voice, but it started even 10 years before that. It really started, wait a minute, it started around the age of 25, 26 years old. but it took like 10 years to really like get it. Like, I can't die not having told my story. I cannot leave this earth without discovering who I was meant to be before the trauma took over.
Yeah.
So now it's this next phase of my life, this leg of my journey is living out every day who who am I really?
Yeah.
And what do I want for my life? And the goal, I feel like, has already been met in so many ways. It's leaving a legacy of healing instead of a legacy of trauma and of pain and of destruction. Like, I know that I've already done that. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is having a daughter that loves me, having granddaughters that give me all the kisses and love.
Aww.
And knowing that I've got chosen family,
Yeah.
chosen siblings, lots of friends. And these are all the things that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
And then being in a job where I get to help people to have hope and to love themselves. So all of the trauma that was passed down to me, I am making sure that I don't pass any of that crap into anybody else.
Absolutely.
Like, that's my responsibility. That's the work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you tell a lot of truth now.
I do.
I just think it's amazing because I don't know if you always feel fearless, but you fearlessly, in my viewpoint, tell the truth a lot. Like, you say it like it needs to be said about so many different things, but in ways that I'm sure you get a lot of flack from random people, like haters.
I don't get any.
Don't?
No.
What? Well,
No,
that's amazing.
No. Oh my goodness. It's such a blessing because
Yeah.
let's see. I often say I feel like a dinosaur because I was a late adopter to social media. I don't do a whole lot on any of the platforms. Even though I'm open, I'm also very private.
Yeah.
And so I came to Instagram maybe 3 years ago. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have went sooner because then I'd have all these followers and yeah, whatever. I joined when I was supposed to because the people that I connect with now, like, yeah, I love my followers and who have also, a lot of them, become my best friends. But I do have a lot of fear when I write, but it's mostly like fear, like, if I write this, will people resonate with it? Does it make sense? Is my voice, sometimes I have parts that wonder, is my voice even needed? There's so millions and millions of followers, or not followers, but accounts. And people are, always like, where everybody's putting out like these inspiration things. And sometimes it can feel like I'm just kind of yelling out into the void. Like, is anything I'm saying, like, does it matter? Does my voice matter? And even though I'm asking myself that question, I am committed to, I just keep speaking. Because undoubtedly, in my inbox or in the comments, somebody's going to say, yes, I needed this, or yes, I agree, and I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one. Because I always speak from like my experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's personal for me. I'm not just, I think I'll just put this out there. No. There's a lot of thought that goes into what I put out.
Yeah.
all heart, it's all love, it's all personal.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, to your point about haters, when I first joined, I would get a few comments in my inbox or a few comments below my post, and quickly I would delete them and then I would block them.
Yeah.
And then if they're in my inbox, I'm going to delete, I'm going to block. Now I don't have those issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you say a thing of, oh, I don't see, you know, that point of view, you know, that thing you wrote about the queer community, you know, you need to read your Bible or any kind of stuff like that. Anything that's in opposition to what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, you don't, this is not a page that's up for debate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not justifying my position on anything. If you disagree, you go to your page and then you write stuff that resonates with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
But my community, my followers, I feel like we're a community.
It's beautiful.
And so I write for myself. And if I'm manifesting anything, it's that whatever I write, that it lands with the right people, that the right people will find it and be inspired. And so I don't have any, haters there. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm really grateful.
That's super cool. And let me just encourage you, like in those moments when you're like, is this even going to make sense or resonate with anyone? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. And beyond that too, I think I know it challenges me. A lot of the content that you write, it challenges me to decide, like, what do I actually think about this? And so for you to put things so clearly and to say things the way that you do helps me to even decipher, like, what do I think about this, which is so important. Oftentimes we don't stop long enough to even consider what you think about specific issues or specific things. So when you write, I've saved so many of your posts because I'm like, I need to refer back to this and remember how she put this because it resonates with me. It helps me understand what I think, what I believe, what I'm about. So just keep doing what you're doing because it's powerful. It's impactful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, when I'm writing and I'm posting stuff, what comes to mind for me is like there's no impartiality like in my system. I'm not impartial on topics of trauma, violence, abuse, neglect, human rights. There's never a well, there's good people on both sides kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
I am pro survivors 24/7, or as Mary J. Blige says in her song 25/8. I am pro survivors. If you have survived hard things in your life, I am for you.
Yeah.
I am never cozying up with the oppressor. I am never trying to have a rational conversation with an abuser. I am never trying to understand the side of the colonizer. If someone is racist, transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, I'm never trying to be nice and like, oh, they're still good people. That's the way they were raised. No. You can change that stuff.
Yeah.
You can be different. So I'm never for them. All the people, I'm never for them, ever, ever, ever. I exist for survivors.
I love that.
So that's who I'm speaking to. That's where I want my messages to go to. I don't want abusive people, complacent people following me. Nope. That's not who I write for. Yeah.
This was a mic. I'd be dropping it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because as a Black queer woman, I've often, I mean, more times than I can count, have heard someone say, well, you know, my parents, like they're good people. It's just that's the way they were raised.
Right.
They said that thing or they did that thing because, well, that's just how they were raised down there where they grew up. What are we doing right now?
Yeah.
You don't get to be discriminatory. You don't get to bully people. You don't get to be demeaning to people because that's the way you were raised.
Mm.
So a lot of the people that would be haters don't follow me because I'm not really engaging with them.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak up for myself. I'm going to speak up for the people that they've impacted.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's what I found. That when people hate, if they're hating on the messages, the things that I'm talking about, which is I'm always talking about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
If they're hating on me because of what I write, it's typically for two reasons. And I've not found myself to be wrong. It's either one, because they too have been traumatized,
Mm-hmm.
but they're so desensitized that they're not even connecting, that they don't have their own voice for their own pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe at some point they became a sympathizer of the person that abused them. And when you sympathize with your abuser, it strips you of your voice.
Dang. Yeah.
It strips you of a lot of your growth and your healing and your autonomy. When you automatically have more compassion for the abuser than you have for yourself and the little one that was wounded,
Mm.
then of course you're not going to connect with somebody that's found their voice, that's found their healing.
Wow.
Two, the other person that may be considered a hater is a person who has abused, maybe still abusing, and they're really pissed off that anybody would be calling that stuff out.
Yeah.
How dare you speak on this?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't live my life for them.
Yeah.
I know what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've just talked so much.
Oh, I could listen to you talk all day. So much. I mean, you probably don't realize it all the time, but you just like drip with wisdom and it's beautiful. Even like you're saying there's so many people that, oh, that's how they were raised, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this a lot too. And I'm thinking about, do you know how Tasha was raised?
Yeah.
So she can act like that and that would be okay with you. No.
We don't get to use that as an excuse. Well, that's the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to mention that this has nothing to do with what we're talking about really, but sometimes when my clients are like, I'm so afraid that I'll turn out to be like them meaning the people that they grew up with, the people that hurt them. I'm so afraid that I will do the same things to my children. I'm so afraid that I will abuse my spouse or do things to my spouse because of what I went through. And I think that any of us that have gone through difficulties growing up, we have that fear. We don't want to become the monsters that we grew up with.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Let me encourage anybody that's also listening that may have those questions. The fact that you're even asking that question is proof that you're not going to become the monster
Yes.
that abused you. You have this level of awareness, this empathy.
Mm-hmm.
that really is there to ensure that you don't become that. So anything that, however you're engaging with your children, however you're engaging with your partner, with your spouse, there's some voice in the back of your head saying, ooh, that sounded like my father, or that sounded like my mother, or that sounded like this person. Let me not do that.
Yeah.
Let me do things differently. Maybe I need to get some therapy. Maybe I need to read some books. Maybe, so you're doing your own work.
Mm-hmm.
You won't end up like that. You're good. You've got awareness. And that's something that the monsters don't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So encouraging.
Mhm.
So good. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it's going to really help a lot
Yeah.
of the people listening. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goodness, for real. I still have so many questions, and I could talk to you for a long time. You're just so amazing and beautiful, and my heart is overflowing. So thank you for sharing this space with us today. I appreciate it so very, very much. I would love for you to tell us before we go, like, what's the best way to connect with you, and also anything else on your heart that you want to share before we say goodbye.
I just want to say to all survivors that I love you, that I'm cheering for you, um, that healing is not easy, but it's worth it.
Mhm.
It's worth it, not just for the current version of you, but for the little one in you.
Yeah.
Needed to be seen, that needed to be cared for. Um, and if you want to connect with me in any way, my website, TashaHunterLCSW.com. I'm on Instagram, Tasha Hunter LCSW. I'm also on Threads by the same account, Tasha Hunter LCSW, where you can see some of my writing. Possibly, I'm also working on another book. So more
Yay.
details to follow. So if you want to know about all upcoming things, please follow my website, subscribe to my website, or on social media. The next book will be poetry. It'll be inspiration.
I can't wait.
So the kind of book that you would maybe want to give somebody like for a gift. And I am calling it, it's like my love letter to survivors.
Aw. My heart just exploded. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, I just appreciate you. I appreciate your voice. Thank you for everything that you're giving to this world. It's beautiful. It's healing. Generations will feel the impact of what you're doing. So thank you so much. And
Thank
I will
you.
be connecting with you over there on Instagram for sure.
Mhm.
Have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye.